Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to the variance analysis. In my last lecture, I explained about the material variances. In material variances, we firstly observed the total variance, that why the variance was incurred from standard material cost to the actual cost that incurred for manufacturing of a product. uh, we divided material variance into two parts. One was the material price variance, the other one was the material usage variance, that was related basically the efficiency of the production. Uh, Now I'm going to talk about the labor variance. Similar to the material variance, labor variance has also the similar features to observe the variance between the actual cost of labor incurred on a production of product and what was the standard that the management made. So the difference was basically analyzed again in two components. One was the material cost variance paid to the labor, and the second one was the material usage variance, the hours worked to complete a product. uh, in direct labor variance, the difference between what the output should have cost and what it did cost in terms of labor, which can be further divided into direct labor rate variance, as I already explained mentioned it. One is about the labor rate variance. uh, Here is a labor rate variance. The second one was the labor efficiency variance. It's about the uh, price or a cost per hour, whereas the efficiency is about how many hours were worked to produce a product. So the direct labor total variance indicates the difference between standard direct labor cost, irrespective of the rate of labor and the number of hours worked. It is explaining the total labor cost which has been produced and the actual direct labor cost incurred. So further it is divided into two parts. One is direct labor rate variance, the other one is direct labor efficiency variance. In direct labor rate variance, this is similar to the direct material price variance. It is difference between the standard cost and the actual cost for the actual number of hours paid for. In other words, it is the difference between what the labor did cost and what it should have cost. So what it should have cost means the standard cost, and what it did cost is the actual cost. So the labor rate variance indicates the actual cost of any change from standard labor rate of remuneration. In direct labor efficiency variance, this is similar to the direct material usage variance. It is the difference between the hours that should have been worked for the number of units actually produced and the actual number of hours worked. So these are basically the difference, which are valued at the standard rate per hour. So in other words, it is the difference between how many hours should have been worked and how many hours were worked valued at a standard rate. So according to SEMA terminology, the direct labor efficiency variance is the standard labor cost of any change from standard level of labor efficiency. So we can better understand when we have a practical example. So have a look on the example direct labor variance. The question is, the standard direct labor cost of product X is 2 hours of grade Z labor at a rate of 5 per hour. So the unit cost for a labor is $10 per unit for product X. During the period, 1000 units of product X were made, and the direct labor cost of grade Z labor was 8,900 for 2,300 hours of work. This information is actual information what has incurred. Here is the actual information. Here is an actual information, and this information was standard you already made for it. Now you are required to calculate the direct labor total variance, direct labor rate variance, and direct labor efficiency variance. And then at the later stage we will give the summary of whether it was an adverse or a favorable variance. Now look at the first part, which is the total variance irrespective of the rate or efficiency. This is the difference between what 1000 units should have cost and what they did cost. So 1000 units should have cost 1000 multiplied by 10, which is $10,000. And what was the actual cost incurred on these 1000 units, which is 8,900. The difference between both is 1100, which is favorable. It means that the cost actual incurred was less than the standard cost that the management first determined. So the variance is favorable. Now look at the first part, which is if you divide this 1100 to see in depth what was the reason of this 1100 favorable, which is divided into a labor rate variance and labor efficiency variance. This is the rate of the labor per hour which is paid to the employees. This is the difference between what 2300 hours should have cost and what 2300 hours did cost. So these are the actual hours, and you multiply with the standard rate, you get 11,500. And the actual cost on these 2300 units were 8,900. One thing you must keep in mind when trying to solve this question: hours are always taken which are actual. Actual hours are already taken. You are not allowed to take the standard hours. These are actual hours, and you multiply with the standard rate. Then you get a standard cost. And this 8,900 is also the cost of these 2,300 hours. Now again, the variance is $2,600, and it is also favorable. But this is half of the story. We need to check it whether the usage of labor was favorable or unfavorable, because the total variance was $1,100, but now here you have a 2,600. It means that there was something also which was reducing this total variance. Now in efficiency variance, 1000 units of X should have 2 hours to calculate 1 unit. So how many hours you should have worked, which was 2000 hours. These are the standard hours. 1 unit, in other words, if you want to produce 1 unit or manufacture 1 unit, you are required 2 hours. So if you want to manufacture 1000 unit, you will multiply with the 2 hours. Now 2000 hours were made standard to manufacture these 1000 units. However, the firm allocated 2300 hours instead of 2000. So these 300 hours were extra utilized on production of these 1000 units. It means that you you uh, in excess utilized 300 hours to manufacture these units. and the rate was standard rate was $5. So 300 hours multiplied by 5, you get 1500 extra amount spent on the manufacturing of these 1000 units, which is also adverse. It means that the excess amount was allocated. Now you need to see the summary to reach the 1100 units, which we calculated in earlier part. So rate variance was 2600 in previous slide, and efficiency variance was 1500, which we calculated here. One was favorable, the other was adverse. So 2600 minus 1500, you get 1100, which is also a favorable. In total it was favorable, but uh, it may not be favorable because you allocated 300 hours extra. If you could have controlled your labor hour, your output could have been better than this one. Now, another component of the labor variance is idle time variance. What is an idle time variance? In fact, this is the time in which the labor do not work, because it may be electricity breakdown, your machines may not be working, your labor is in fact idle, which is not working. So if idle time arises, it is used to calculate a separate idle time variance and to base the calculation of efficiency variance on active hours when labor actually worked only. So this is always adverse variance, because in this time period labor did not work, but you had to pay this. So according to SEMA official terminology, the direct labor idle time variance occurs when the hours paid exceed the hours worked. What does that mean? You paid excess amount than the of those time period in which the labor did not work, and there is an extra cost caused by this idle time. Its computation increase the accuracy of labor efficiency rate, because if you will not separately calculate it, this would be considered that the labor was not so much efficient to manufacture the products. So for example, a company may operate a costing system in which any idle time is recorded. Idle time may be caused by machine breakdown, as I mentioned, or not having work to give to the employees, perhaps because of bottleneck in production or a shortage of orders from customers. When idle time occurs, the labor force is still paid wages for time at work, because you cannot keep them unpaid, but no actual work is done at that time. So time paid for without any work being done is unproductive and therefore inefficient. In various analysis, idle time is always an adverse, as I mentioned. So when idle time is recorded separately, it is useful to provide control information which identifies the cost of idle time separately, and in various analysis there will be an idle time variance as a separate part of total labor efficiency variance. The remaining efficiency variance will then relate only to productivity of the labor force during the hours spent actively working. For example, if we take uh, another example to calculate the idle time variance, I'm just referring the previous question of section 3.1 during period 5. Now which is the next part. In previous example we took a period of 4, now we are taking it at period 5. 1500 units of product X were made. So here is another information, and the cost of grade Z labor was 17,500 for 3,800 3,080 hours. During the period there was a shortage of customer orders, and 1000 hours were recorded as idle period, in which in fact you did not receive any orders, and if you do not receive any orders, then you may not ask your labor to still work to manufacture products. So these 100 hours were considered as idle time. The A part, B part, and D part we already calculated in the previous section, in previous example. In this part, I'm just going to explain it. What is an idle time variance? So the idle time variance is hour of idle time valued at standard rate per hour. So idle time variance is 1100 hours, which is an adverse because this is an idle time period and labor is not working in that time period, multiplied by standard rate. So $500 are the adverse uh, variance for your idle time, and I already mentioned it that this is always an adverse because the labor is not working but they are being paid for this. So I'm just winding up my video here, in which I explained the labor variance. Labor variance was basically divided into two parts. One was your labor efficiency variance, the other one was labor rate variance. We also calculated the idle time period in which the labor do not work but they are being paid for it. So in the next lecture, I would explain the variable factory overheads. So just tune to the next slide, and I suggest you to solve these questions: direct labor rate, uh, direct labor total variance, direct labor rate variance, and direct labor efficiency variance, which is not being calculated in this part. For your practice, this would be very useful for you. So up to that, thank you very much. Inshallah, we will meet in the next video. Allah Hafiz.